All right, we are live with episode number 2. I have another champion. There's just it runs in the water here in Cookeville, Tennessee. Matt Fraser, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
And the first and most obvious question, just to check in, man. How are you doing? How are you weathering this storm?
Man, we're doing all right. Thankfully, our lives don't change too much with what's going on with the outside world. Sam and I, we both work from home. We both got home offices. So I have a well-equipped garage gym so that, you know, if I need to train at home full time, I can. And I got a good crew around me. So Tia comes over every day. We do all our training together. So we're not skipping a beat.
But the thing of Frasers, I mean, there has to be at least some alterations, right? You got basically the best personal chef in the world. Your wife is a tremendous cook,
Oh yeah.
chef, I should say. And but it's been difficult with groceries and things like that. You still being well fed?
Oh man, we are so stocked up. It's almost nice that we're getting through some of this supply because like our fridge is always just stocked. The cupboards are overflowing. We have a full deep freeze of just frozen meats that we've accumulated over time, and now it's like, all right, now we get to start plowing through some of these. So the food has not diminished yet.
Yeah, and we were joking about it a little bit before, but like, are you you like your isolation, you like your self time, but is it like you've been preparing for this your whole life? Are you like you're not necessarily like a stockpiler ready to rock, right?
I mean, for me, this like I am incredibly introverted. For me to recharge my batteries, I need my quiet time alone. I've never been one like big on socializing. Like ever since I can remember, it's like I have one or two solid friends, and it's basically like if they're busy one night, it's like I'm not doing anything. I'm not going down the full call list.
Right.
So this whole isolation thing, it's like an introvert's dream of like you're forced to stay inside and not see anyone. Uh, yeah, I mean, so in terms of socializing, things are great.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm interested to hear about training too. You said you haven't really skipped a beat, but talk to me about motivation because you got to flex your stuff a little bit this year, and then all of a sudden it looks like the competition sees well, at least in the foreseeable future. Right now, it's wiped out, and then even the CrossFit Games are in question. So the amount and the level at which you train, how are you keeping your motivation up?
right now, I think the one thing that keeps running through my head, it's what is it? Opportunity's no good without preparation. So, it's right now, yeah, we don't know when the next opportunity to compete is. Um, but we know it's gonna come back at some point. And so, it's just keeping the body and mind in a place where it's like, yeah, we're not killing ourselves in the gym right now, but just maintaining kind of building up a good base so that when the first competition comes back and is announced, we're in a good spot to kind of build off. We're not letting ourselves slide backwards.
Yeah.
Um, in my home gym, we're able to do basically everything. Yeah, sometimes it's a little tight because it's one of those like it's a 2-bay garage, but it's just you're fitting one car in there and you have a shelf on the side type thing.
I did
Um,
snatches and burpees recently in there, and yes,
yeah,
I
yeah, and
I
so
was kicking a rack where I was hitting the head. Yeah.
yeah, T and I are able to coordinate that we are both training at the same time so that we still have a bit of competition back and forth and some company in the gym. But yeah, it takes a little coordinating, but it is what it is. In the grand scheme of things, it's not an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I think was speaking for myself, but I'm assuming that fans of the sport are the same way. It's easy to paint a picture of champions like yourself and think, wow, well, like mental toughness just comes naturally to them, or none of this, they're affected differently, or they're disaffected completely. They're superhumans. Have there been down moments, or how?
I mean, specifically towards this, no. It's I literally just take things as they come. When someone says like, "Hey, this competition's postponed or canceled," it's kind of like a shrug of the shoulders and like, "All right, so what are we moving on to?" Um, I really try to not play the what if game. Worrying or speculating does nothing productive. So it's literally just focused on what can I do to be better? Focused on that. In the sense of people kind of expect us to react differently to different situations. That's not the case. It's just we're just regular people. Like we live in a regular house. We have regular interactions. So all the same things that affect someone else, they affect us the exact same way. We try to handle it differently. We have some experience of dealing with things and try to apply what you learned in the past to what's going on now.
Yeah. Yeah. And all, everyone now kind of being on equal footing, and in the fact that, many things affect, like we had tornadoes in Cookville. We're talking to Tia about the fires in Australia. This literally affects it doesn't matter where you're on the planet. It affects everyone. Sort of seeing how other people have reacted, for better or worse. There's lots of, Tia was talking about, there's lots of creative things that have come out of it. There's lots more people kind of showing you different sides of themselves. Like, what's kind of stood out to you over the last few weeks, highs or lows?
I always I don't mean this in an insensitive way at all. Obviously, any type of natural disaster, anything like that, it's awful. No one wishes it upon anyone. So that's my disclaimer. But things like this, there's silver linings everywhere. You know, uh,
We were talking about
like
Rogue right before this. That for me, I've loved to see like the character that's exhibited by people who are like, don't skip a beat. Here's how I'm going to help.
yeah, there's that. It's I mean for people that it's like you have an opportunity that, like, everyone's sitting at home, they're looking for entertainment, and it's like if you want to get your name out there, you can do it. The opportunities for businesses and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, businesses are suffering, um, but it's like, all right, what's going to get built after this? There's it's a shitty situation, but I'm excited to see what comes after. And even already, you're seeing who's stepping up and showing their true colors. And it's pretty incredible. It was just like after the tornadoes here, there were literally so many volunteers the day after that they had to ask, like, please do not volunteer. Like we have too many volunteers. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of, perfect segue, here we are, episode number 2. This is the United in Movement YouTube channel. And, again, like you said, there's been multiple times this year where we've seen kind of community driven efforts like this, but people who are stepping up, this would be, front of the mind right now. So, how did you hear about it, and what kind of motivated you to become involved?
So O'Keefe, Matt O'Keefe, he hit me up, and I think he was like a fraction of the way through the explanation, and I just said, like, hey, like, don't waste your breath on me. You don't need to convince me. I'm in. You literally just tell me what you want me to do. Like, where am I the most help? Where can I contribute the most value? And anything he does, I'm there to support it. He was in the last couple of days, kind of getting in more details with him, and he's like, this isn't about any one of us. Just there's so many businesses, people, community in trouble. We want to make sure that it's there when we come out the other side of this. So he's the type of guy that he's calling in favors because he's not using them on himself. So that was my biggest thing. He's reaching out to all these different companies, and he's built such a good reputation with them all that they're just saying yes. Like, tell us what you need. Where can we help? So that's why I'm doing it. Basically, just like what he pitched, he's not gaining anything from it. He's just the facilitator to organize everything, to try to help the people that are going to be hurt the most from this.
Yeah, yeah, it is refreshing. Like, it's a good point that you make, that it's bringing together people and brands even that you wouldn't see in one place at one time, because the bottom line is that if the foundation of this whole thing goes away, the small businesses and the people who are violently passionate about the sport and the athletes go away. I mean, we're all kind of poof in a
Yeah,
much different situation.
100%.
It's weird, but as you were speaking, I was like, you're very true to yourself. You've got a really good sense of self. Do you feel sort of pressure in the role model? Do you feel pressured to be a role model kind of in the situation that you're in? You think of yourself that way?
Um, I've been told I should. Uh, so there's kind of two sides of that. One side is I think I've gotten to where I am because I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was, what you see is what you get. Uh, you know, I had it recently. I did a panel with some people, and a question got asked, and we're all going through answering it. And and the two people before me answered it, and it was like the very like politically correct, the answer that everyone wants to hear, blah blah blah. And then the mic gets passed to me. I went like, "Fuck no!" Like I gave a polar opposite answer because that it was the true statement. And then we get off stage after the panel, and I was like, "Are you guys serious?" And like, "Are you really going to do that?" And they just both like, "God, no, no, we're not going to do that." And I was like, "Well, why did you say it?" They're like, "Because that's like the right answer." I was like, "Well, no, like,
The right
what's
answer is
the
the right answer. Yeah.
yeah, what's the point of saying it if it's not actually what you're going to do or your intent is?" And so I stay true to myself. That's what helps me sleep at night, knowing that everything I say is 100% what I believe in. I don't have any resentments built up because I'm like, oh, this person knows this lie about me or that one, they know the truth. It's no, like if I say it, I'm going to stand behind my comments, and it it makes your life very peaceful that everyone knows where they stand with you. All that. Anyways, um, but then on the other hand, I've been told like, hey, you have a big influence over a lot of people. Like, do the right thing. And the main part of me is like, if I'm walking around like that, like I just picture someone be like, wow, you really think you're special, huh? Like no one gives a shit about you. Like who do you think you are? Like, oh, you have a big influence over people. It's like, I'm just a normal person like everyone else. It's the as simple as like the little mundane tasks in the day. Like if they're a pain in the ass for you, they're a pain in the ass for me too. Like I don't enjoy doing those things either. Um, so I go back and
It is
forth
a
on
fine
it.
line. Yeah, it is. It is
Of
an interesting
I,
point.
I try I try to I try to be a good example, but on the other side of I try to promote good things.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, it's like I am I try to be a good person, and I just try to be myself. So if you like it, that's awesome. I appreciate the support. If you don't like it, that's cool too. If I'm just not your cup of tea, that's 100% cool. Just be kind.
Yeah, no, and listen, and the authenticity is refreshing, right? And you're right. Like, it's not your job to be what everybody wants you to be. And I think that that's actually that in and of itself is an important message to send. Um, you mentioned cup of tea, but I'm always also kind of peeping your cup of coffee, man. It was funny.
Mm.
You've seen all the late night guys. I don't know if you follow any of them, but they're doing all their shows from home.
Oh,
And
really?
the funniest joke, yeah, there's like this, like
Yeah.
you got any of them in the living room just doing their thing, and some of the one of the stand-ups, I forget who it was, but he's like, oh yeah, this quarantine's been great. I found out you can actually make coffee at home. And
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but but I watch you all the time. Tell me about that coffee setup. I see you're sipping on one right now. Like, what's your go-to?
Just straight espresso. This is another thing, just like my gym. I've always said, no matter what's going on in the world, I want to be self-sufficient. And so right now, with the situation we're in of like how much land we have, all that stuff, there's very few things I can be self-sufficient with. Um, but having a like this coffee machine is a commercial coffee machine. When I got it, on top it said there's a big sign that says like not for home use, commercial use only. And I was like, awesome. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. I've
Um,
never seen that. I've only seen the opposite, where it's like
yeah,
not for use at home, right? Or not for
yeah.
use in the commercially.
Yeah, I remember like reading, like watching videos and reviews on my coffee machine, and they were saying like, oh, if you're running like a small like cafe or something, this one's not quite up to snuff. If you're making anything over 220 shots per day, you probably want to upgrade to the next one. I was like, perfect. I make 2 shots a day.
Yeah,
So
this will work.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, Lamarzico GS3 MP. It's very hands-on, ton of variables. You're playing with the pressure as you're brewing. Um, but yeah, I got a whole little cafe in my kitchen, and
And then what kind of beans match like a machine of that caliber?
I mean,
What's your
I mean,
coffee?
you can play all different types. The one really cool. So right now, I get my beans from a local coffee shop, Soulcraft. It's just a very mellow, easy coffee to make. But from the company Lamarzico, I got a monthly coffee subscription, and it's really cool. So every month, it's 2 different bags of coffee, and it comes with a brew guide. So it tells you like, all right, you dose in 19 grams. You pull 42 grams, and you're targeting 25 seconds at
Whoa.
at pre-infusion for 10 seconds at 3 bars, and then the rest of the time at 9 bars. So it really takes out the guessing game of what's going to give me the best shot with these beans, because every bean is different. You can have some that you dose 16 grams, others you dose 22 grams. And for me, it's like I'm not involved enough yet to know what's the origin of this bean. What does that mean for like how I brew it? But,
Right.
but yeah, I always like a good Ethiopian bean. I literally start like first thing in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I make myself a double shot, and then usually right after that another double shot, and then like right now I'm in between training sessions, so poured another one, and yeah, staying
Hey,
wired.
I'll tell you what, if this CrossFit thing doesn't work out, you can always go ahead and maybe open up a coffee shop,
Yeah.
do the barista thing. Um, Last question before I let you go. I can see over your shoulder you got the movie poster there. The new fittest doc
Oh
came out
yeah.
finally. I saw you promoting that hardcore. Just give me your thoughts, initial thoughts on, or not initial. I guess you've seen it now and you've had time to digest it. What are your thoughts on the film?
Uh, you know, I'm I I'm super excited. Every aspect of it. You know, big part was that, last year, the 2018 games, we didn't get the movie that everyone has like grown accustomed to. And I think that really pointed out how important, how influential that movie was. You know, because in the past it was just like the type of thing, it just showed up. Everyone just kind of expected it. So when it didn't show up, there were so many people asking for it, and you know, I think a lot of athletes realized how much publicity they get from that film
Yeah.
being introduced into homes that of people that don't do CrossFit, don't know what the sport is, or don't know who we are. If it's just on Netflix and they're bored one night, they can click it, and then they're in the world. Um, so so I'm super happy that the film happened. Um, I love the approach that they took. They did a great job with how many changes there were this year. They did a great job explaining everything and showing it to the regular world of, because if you're not in CrossFit, you don't know what the open is or regionals or sanctionals, any of this mumbo jumbo. Um, and then the last part that I was super thrilled about was how it turned out for Marston and Heber, because I'm sure a lot of people watching this know, but for the people that don't, they were the ones. They were part of the crew that made the movies in the past, and they were HQ employees, and then HQ went through all their cuts, and Marston and Heber were just kind of like, shit, what do we do next? So the idea got thrown around a little bit, and then I was there with them. I think it was the day before, or 2 days before the game started, when they signed the contract to make this new movie. And so to see what they were able to pull off with like 36 to 48 hours notice
Mhm.
is incredible. They just went a week with no sleep. There was like 5 of them all sharing like a 20-foot RV in the parking lot. And, they just hired people last minute to kind of help out. And so they could dump footage, had people holding cameras. And it was
And
really incredible to see what they were able to turn, like a hopeless situation into that.
Yeah.
It was really incredible, really inspirational. And the end product is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
dude.
I know for like Sammy and I, Tia and Shane, everyone that's involved, it's another one of those things that down the road when we're showing our kids or our grandkids, down the road, it's going to be even more special.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, beautifully put. And not to mention for Huber and Marston, I mean, like the 6 months that preceded it that was a full gamble. It was
Well,
like, yeah, we're going to
exactly.
put
It
this
was
on time, right?
like, I remember I was in very close contact with them after, they got laid off and they were trying to figure out what's next and all this stuff. And I remember telling Marston, like, in a year's time, you're going to look back and like be so thankful that this happened. I guarantee it. I remember telling Sammy, like, we're literally talking to them and like they're just shells of themselves. They are super happy, energetic guys, and they were just shells of themselves. And I remember telling Sammy one night, we were talking about what was going on. I said, like, man, they are so lucky. They are going to learn so much about themselves in the next few months. And it sounds crass to say like they're so lucky,
Yeah.
they're going through these huge life changes. They're hopeless right now. And I had full faith that they were going to come out the other side. And so I was looking at it like, man, this is like a once in a lifetime learning opportunity of like figuring out what you're made of. Um, so it's super cool. And I'm super proud of those guys for coming out the other side, just shining.
Nice. And I hope anybody watching who has not already goes and downloads that on iTunes.
Hmm.
Um, all right, dude. I think the next time that we'll see you is Saturday night, and this was news to Tia. So if it's news to you, surprise! You get to unveil workout number 1 of the United in Movement.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is news to me. Can't
Okay.
wait.
So 6 p.m. on Saturday, whether it's from your home gym, we'll figure that out. But
Yep.
prepare yourself for some fitness, my man. But we very much appreciate you taking the time, bro.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, talk to you soon,
All
Anthony.
right.
Get us out of here.